Hello and welcome to the video reflection for Friday, the 7th of January. Happy Epiphany. I hope you all had a lovely Christmas and a celebratory New Year. In the last video reflection, I emphasized that God was with us, whether or not our Christmas held the traditional hallmarks of the season. Now that message turned out to be especially significant for me, as I tested positive for COVID-19 on Christmas Eve and had to cancel my plans, including postponing my holiday back to the States. Luckily, my symptoms remained mild, and I'm now back in business. I suspect that some of you watching are currently isolating after a positive test, or at least know someone close to you who is isolating. I pray that everyone's symptoms remain mild in this troubling time. One thing that's come up in several of my conversations in the last few days is how weird this moment in time feels. Almost 2 years have passed since the first lockdown. For some, it feels like no time at all. Others can barely remember time before COVID. We've had so many unprecedented times that really things are starting to feel pretty precedented. Even before my Christmas and New Year plans were scuppered, time seemed hard to track. Don't get me wrong, my last couple of weeks were pleasant, but generally marked by the absence of traditions. These days, life seems to lack punctuation, like a run-on sentence with no sign of an incoming period. We're stuck, reveling in our arbitrary, fragile, and socially constructed sense of time. Time is important. It helps us to make life feel meaningful. Recently, on my worst days, meaning has been hard to find. But I'm comforted by the fact that people in other times have felt like this too. Shakespeare, himself alive during a terrible plague, wrote characters with varying senses of time. The one which best articulates my current inclination being the title character from his Scottish play. Life's but a walking shadow, poor player, that struts and frets his hour upon the stage, and then is heard no more. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. Shakespeare's more contemporary peer, Bill Bailey, put it thus: "Our lives are a brief shuffle down the gangplank of pain, till we're an old sponge cake left out in the rain." When we look hard at our lives, by evaluating everything we can understand in them, we usually reach this conclusion: time is empty. And yet, we must not limit ourselves to evaluating only those things which we can understand. Our material senses are limited. They will lead us astray. There's something bigger and better and deeper and truer than what we can taste and touch and smell. The peace of Christ, which passes all understanding, passes all understanding. We have the peace of Christ, and we're not able to evaluate it. It passes our understanding. It's with us in the awe we feel in our created world, in the warmth we find in our relationships with each other, both familial and neighborly, and it holds our souls close at every moment. The peace of Christ, which passes all understanding, is the perfect refutation when we understand time to be meaningless. and the world to be pointless, because it's not a refutation at all. Time is pointless. The point in our lives, really, is not found within time. It's not what we can see or hear or smell. The point is not of the world. But luckily for us, the point, the peace of Christ, is in the world. The peace of Christ is a gift we have all been given. It reveals the truth under the surface. It is a peace offered to each of us unconditionally. It helps us to be at peace with ourselves and with each other. And it means that we are all, in essence, connected. This Epiphany season, may the peace of Christ, which passes all understanding, be a gift for each and every one of you. Have a lovely weekend.